morning, grade 7. Let us all stand first for the opening prayer. Arlene, will you please go in front and lead the opening prayer for today? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much. You may now take your seat. Jennifer, is there any absentee for today? Very good, class. Perfect attendance. Before we start our learning engagement for today, let us first review the topic discussed last meeting. Let's start with Carmina. Carmina, to test your memory, what is the topic discussed last meeting? Very good. Last meeting, we have discussed about conversion and substitution of weight and measures. But the question is, why do we need to know how to convert and how to substitute ingredients in baking? Yes, Maricor? Great. Number 1, it will save your baked products when you lack an ingredient called for in a recipe. What about the next reason? Yes, Sian. Great. Number 2, if you want to localize your product, just like for example, in your barangay or in your local, is very rich when it comes to root crops. So you can use that as an alternative ingredient in your recipe. What about the third reason? Yes, Ashley. Very good. So number 3, when the ingredients called in a recipe is very expensive, so you can substitute it for a low-cost ingredient. What about the last reason? Yes, Princess. Very good. It is also very helpful when you are trying to improve your overall health by choosing healthy ingredients. For example, too much intake of sugary products and fatty products can lead to what kind of diseases? Yes, Ian. Very good. It can lead to diabetes as well as cardiovascular diseases. So what kind of disease is diabetes as well as cardiovascular diseases? Yes, Raven. Very good. Those are examples of non-communicable disease. Isn't it in MAPE you have discussed about non-communicable disease? Great. So what is now non-communicable disease? Yes, Princess. Very good. When we say non-communicable disease, it is a non-infectious health condition that cannot be spread from person to person. It can last for a long period of time. That is why it is also known as chronic disease, just like diabetes as well as cardiovascular diseases. That is why substitution of ingredients is very helpful. Most importantly, when someone is trying to improve his or her overall health by choosing healthy products or healthy ingredients. Just like for example, instead of using cream cheese or high-fat milk, okay, he or she can substitute that for low-fat milk as well as Greek yogurt. Another example, instead of using table sugar, you can substitute it for honey, which is more healthy than sugar. Or instead of using maple syrup, you can use fruit puree or applesauce. Is that clear? Very good. And now, I will be showing some situational problems. What you're going to do is that you will apply the conversion and substitution of baking ingredients. Is that clear? Very good. Number 1 situational problem. At Chingalian Borromeo, a famous Kapampangan food historian, is preparing a panicillo San Nicolas. But the ingredients left available in her kitchen is all-purpose flour. How many cups of sifted all-purpose flour she need to produce 2 cups sifted cake flour? Before we proceed to our answer for number 1, I will give you first a short trivia about panicillo San Nicolas. When we say panicillo San Nicolas, it is popularly known here in Pampanga as San Nicolas cookie. It is one of the must-try food or product here in Pampanga, posted by the ABS-CBN News website. Okay, I will give you 30 seconds to answer number 1. Timer starts now. Time's up. What is now the answer for question number 1? Yes, Ian. Very good. The answer is 1 3/4 cup. The question is, how did you get 1 3/4 cup? Any volunteer? Yes, Princess. Very good. By multiplying 7/8 to 2. So 7/8 multiplied by 2 is equivalent to 14/8. If you will simplify 14/8, you will get, yes, Raven? Very good, 7/4. So 7/4 is what kind of number? Yes, Samantha. Very good. 7/4 is a improper fraction. So in order for us to get the final answer, we need to convert 7/4, which is a improper fraction, into mixed number. So what is now the answer? Yes, Jaylene. Very good. The answer is 1 3/4. Therefore, a Chinglian needs 1 3/4 cup of sifted all-purpose flour as a substitute for the 2 cups of sifted cake flour. Is that clear? Very good. Let us now proceed to our last question. Our last question is, Mrs. Nelico, the owner of the Nathaniels, is cooking sauce for her puto pao business, but she doesn't have cornstarch for thickening. How many tablespoons of all-purpose flour she needs in order for her to produce 4 tablespoons of cornstarch? Before we proceed to our answer for the last question, I will give you again a short trivia about Mrs. Nelico. Did you know that Mrs. Nelico is the owner of the Nathaniels Corporation? Nathaniels Corporation is one of the famous business here in Pampanga. Did you know that Mrs. Nelico started her business for a capital of 2,000 pesos? Yes, she started selling puto pao, siomai, and the famous buko pandan in their garage. Because of perseverance and dedication of Mrs. Nelico, she is now one of the millionaire and famous Kapampangan entrepreneur. Okay, I will give you 30 seconds to answer the last question. Timer starts now. Time's up. So what is now the answer for the last question? Yes, Brian. Very good. The answer is 2 tablespoons. The question is that, how did you get 2 tablespoons? Yes, Carmina? Very good. By dividing 4 tablespoons into 2 tablespoons, you will get 2 tablespoons. So therefore, Mrs. Nelico needs 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour as a substitute for 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. Is that clear? Very good. Do you have any question about our past lesson? Great. And now, for our learning objective for today is measure dry and liquid ingredients accurately. And this is based from the most essential learning competencies. This lesson specifically aims to, number 1, differentiate dry and liquid ingredients. Number 2, enumerate the different types of liquid and dry ingredients in baking. Number 3, demonstrate the steps in measuring dry and liquid ingredients accurately. And lastly, number 4, appreciate the importance of measuring baking ingredients accurately. Let us now proceed to our first activity. Our first activity is entitled as Let's Investigate. Do you know him? Very good. He is Conan. What is the job of Conan? Yes, Brian. Very good. Conan is a detective. So today, you will be playing the role or the job of Detective Conan, wherein you will investigate something. Are you excited? Are you ready? Again, our first activity is entitled as Let's Investigate. What will you do is that I will be presenting or showing pictures of failed baked products. What will you do is that you will list down all the possible reasons why these baked products failed. Is that clear? Are you ready? If you are ready, let us now wear our suit and get our magnifying glass. Let us investigate. These are now the failed baked products. You are only given 3 minutes to investigate. Timer starts now. Time's up. What do you think are the possible reasons? Let's start with Candy. Very good. Number one is overmixing the mixture. Another reason? Yes, Ramon. Very good. Wrong oven temperature. What about you, Ramil? Very good. Wrong baking wares or wrong baking pans. What about the last reason? Yes, Charmaine? Very good. Inaccurate measurement of ingredients. Those are some of the reasons why these baked products failed. Is that clear? Great. And now, if you were a baker, what will you do in order for you to produce quality baked products? Let's start with Christia. Very good. So one way in order for you to achieve quality baked products is to not overmix the mixture. What about Justin? Very good. You have to use the right oven temperature for a certain type of baked products. What about Jelly? Very good. You have to use the right baking pans or baking wares. Just like for example, if you are baking chiffon type of cake, what type of baking pan you will use? Yes, Raven. Very good. You will use tube center pan. What about if you are planning to bake cupcakes or muffin? What type of pan you will use? Yes, Isel. Very good. You will use muffin pan. Or lastly, if you are planning to bake a special type of cake, what type of baking pan you will use? Yes, Jared. Very good. You will use bundt pan. Always remember that you have to use the right tool for the right job. Another way, in order for you to achieve or produce quality baked products, yes, John? Very good. You have to measure the ingredients accurately. Is that clear? Always remember that baking is a science and it requires accuracy. Take a look at the 3 pictures of cookies here. All 3 cookies use the same ingredient, which is batter and egg. But look how changing the measurement of the egg and butter affects or change the structure and the body of the cookies. Meaning, baking is a science. It relies on the chemical reaction between your ingredients. Unfortunately, it means that you cannot mix up everything in a one bowl. Just like for example, a pinch of salt, a handful of flour, a few eggs, and then you expect perfect and quality baked products. No, baking doesn't work like that. Just like for example, if you add too much batter and not enough flour, so your baked products will spread. Or another example, if you add too much baking powder on your cake recipe, it will rise rapidly and then sink in the middle as well as it will taste bad. That is why accurate measurement of ingredients in baking is very important in order for you to produce and to achieve quality and perfect baked products. But the question is, what is the proper way on how to measure liquid and dry ingredients accurately in baking? So with that question, our topic for today is all about measuring dry and liquid ingredients accurately. Is that clear? Before we start our discussion for our topic for today, which is measuring dry and liquid ingredients accurately, let us first unlock the difficulties. When we say unlock the difficulties, these are set of words or set of terms that we will encounter along with our discussion for today. I will be presenting jumbled letters, and what will you do is to arrange those jumbled letters, and then you have to give your insights about that word. Is that clear? Very good. Let's start with the first word. What do you think is this? Yes, Arlene? Very good. The word is accurate. When we say accurate, what does it mean? Yes, Carmina. Very good. When we say accurate, it means free from error or correct in all details. Or in other words, exact. In Tagalog or Filipino, when we say accurate, it means walang labis, walang kulang. Is that clear? Great. What about the next word? Very good. The word is ingredients. So what do you mean by ingredients? Yes, John. Very good. When we say ingredients, any of the food or substance that are combined to make a particular dish. What about the third word? Yes, Candy. Very good. The word is overflowing. When we say overflowing, what does it mean? Yes, Raven. Very good. When we say overflowing, it is so full that the contents go over the sides. That is the meaning of overflowing. What about the fourth word? Yes, Maricar. Very good. The word is lumps. So when you say lumps, what does it mean? Yes, Nino. Very good. So when you say lumps, it's a solid substance, usually with no particular shape. That is the meaning of lumps. What about the last word? Yes, Micah. Very good. The word is compact. So what do you mean by compact? Yes, Jelly. Very good. When you say compact, you are exerting force on something to make it dense or to compress it. That is the meaning of compact. Is that clear? Very good. Again, our topic for today is about measuring dry and liquid ingredients accurately. I will present first a video clip and I want you to jot down or list down all the ingredients used in the recipe found in the video clip. After listing down the ingredients, I want you to identify whether it is dry ingredients or liquid ingredients. Is that clear? Very good. This is now the video clip. So what are the ingredients you've seen in the video? Let's start with Laika. Very good, milk. What kind of ingredient is milk? Great, liquid ingredients. What about the next one? Yes, Roseanne. Very good, butter. So what kind of ingredient is butter? Very good, it is a liquid ingredient if it is melted. What about the next ingredient you've seen in the video? Yes, Justin. Very good, sugar. What kind of ingredient is sugar? Yes, Miguel. Very good, dry ingredient. What about the next one? Yes, Nicole. Very good, flour. What kind of ingredient is flour? Great, dry ingredients. What about the next one? Yes, John. Very good, baking powder. What kind of ingredients is that? Very good, dry ingredients. What about Louisa? Very good, salt. What kind of ingredient is salt? Yes, Maricar. Very good, dry ingredients. What about the next one? Yes, Isel. Very good, cinnamon. What kind of ingredient is cinnamon? Great, dry ingredients. What about the last one? Yes, Jared. Very good. The last one is yeast. And yeast is a type of dry ingredients. So when you say yeast, it's a biological leavening agent. Isn't it in science you have discussed about yeast? And yeast is a type of fungi. But yeast is also being used in baking as leavening agent or pampaalsa. So the main purpose of yeast is to expand or to double the volume of the baked products. Is that clear? Very good. So from our activity, what is now the difference between liquid ingredients as well as dry ingredients? Let's start with liquid ingredients. Yes, Christian? Very good. So when we say liquid ingredients, is the one that hydrates the mixture. Another liquid is the one that binds and blends the ingredients together. So what are the examples of liquid ingredients? Yes, Gian. Very good. So we have water, we have milk, we have liquid oil. Those are examples of liquid ingredients. What about dry ingredients? Yes, jelly. Very good. When we say dry ingredients, these are ingredients that need to be blended first before they are mixed to another type of ingredient. So what are the different examples of dry ingredients? Yes, very good, flour. Another example, yes, very good. So we have also sugar, baking powder, baking soda, as well as powdered milk. Those are examples of dry ingredients. Let us now proceed to the steps on how to measure baking ingredients accurately. Let's start with flour. What kind of ingredient is flour? Yes, Maricar? Very good. A flour is an example of dry ingredient. What is the function of flour in baking? Yes, Carmina? Very good. Flour is the one that gives body or structure to the baked products. In history, the first flour was produced around 6000 before Common Era. Archaeological evidence shows that the Romans spread the baking as well as wheat milling throughout Europe. So what kind of nutrient we can get from flour? Yes, Christian. Very good. All flour and grains contains complex carbohydrates, wherein complex carbohydrates is a good source of energy. Let us now start measuring flour, but before that, let us first wear apron. So what do you mean by apron? Yes, Candy. Very good. When we say apron, it is a kind of personal protective equipment that is being used by the baker to protect their inside clothing from any dirt. Again, before measuring, you have to wear first your apron. What are the tools needed in measuring flour? So we need a spatula, we need measuring cup with graduated fraction, and we need flour sifter. Since I don't have any flour sifter, I use a strainer as an alternative. Okay, let's start. The first step is sift the flour. Again, the first step is to sift the flour. We are sifting the flour to remove the lumps. Again, what do you mean by lumps, Nino? Very good. When we say lumps, is a solid substance with no particular shape. So again, the first step is to remove the lumps of the flour. We are removing the lumps of the flour to have an accurate measurement. It also makes our baked products a smooth texture. Okay? After sifting the flour, the second step is to scoop using graduated cup until overflowing. Just like for example, I need 1/3 cup. So I will scoop here until overflowing. Okay? Remember, do not shake the measuring cup. Because if you shake the measuring cup, you will have an inaccurate measurement. Again, the second step is to scoop until overflowing. And then after that, the third step is to level off using a spatula. That are the steps when it comes to measuring flour. Is that clear? Very good. Will you please go in front, Maricar, and demonstrate the proper way on how to measure flour? Very good, Maricar. Let us now proceed to the next baking ingredient. The next one, we have sugar. What kind of ingredient is sugar? Yes? Very good. Sugar is an example of dry ingredient. What do you think is the function of sugar in baking? Yes, Marithi. Very good. Sugar is the one that gives sweetness as well as flavor to the baked products. So I have here white sugar as well as brown sugar. What do you think is the difference between the two, aside from color? Will you please come in front and touch, or if you want to taste, the white sugar and brown sugar? Any volunteer? Yes, Candy. Very good. White sugar, it is also known as table sugar or refined sugar. The texture of white sugar is coarse. It is just like sand. What about brown sugar? It is also known as unrefined sugar. The texture of brown sugar is sticky because of the molasses. Is that clear? Very good. Let us first measure white sugar. So what are the steps in measuring white sugar? What are the tools in measuring white sugar? So in white sugar, we need a spatula, a strainer, as well as graduated cup with fraction. The first step is that sifting is not necessary unless the sugar is lumpy. Is that clear? Just like, for example, if the sugar is lumpy, you have to sift it. But if the white sugar is not lumpy, you may proceed to the next step, which is fill in the measuring cup until overflowing, and same as the flour, do not shake it. So let's start. Scoop until overflowing. That is the second step. And then the third step is to level off using spatula. That is the proper way on how to measure white sugar. Is that clear? Very good. Will you please come in front, Jonas, and demonstrate in front of the class on how to measure white sugar? Very good, Jonas. Let us now proceed to brown sugar. Again, when we say brown sugar, it is also known as unrefined sugar. It has molasses, that is why it is sticky. So what are now the steps in measuring brown sugar? The first step is to check if the sugar is lumpy before measuring. If it is lumpy, you have to roll it out using rolling pin. And then you have also to remove the dirt. So the first thing I have to do in measuring brown sugar is to check if my brown sugar is lumpy. Since my brown sugar is not lumpy and it has no dirt at all, I will now proceed to step number 2. So what is now the step number 2? Step number 2 is to scoop into the measuring cup. And then after scooping into the measuring cup, you have to pack it compactly until it follows the shape of the graduated cup when inverted. If it follows the shape of the graduated cup once you invert it, it is a sign that you measured the brown sugar accurately. Just like this one. Is that clear? Very good. Any volunteer? Yes, Maricar. Very good, Maricar. Let us now proceed to powdered food. So what are the examples of powdered food used in baking? Yes, Ramon. Very good. So we have baking powder, baking soda, as well as yeast. What do you think is the function of powdered food in baking? Yes, Ramil. Very good. Baking powder, baking soda, and yeast are examples of leavening agent. And leavening agent, these are substances that is being used in baking to double or to expand the volume of the baked products. Baking powder and baking soda are considered as chemical leavening agent. What about yeast is an example of biological leavening agent. Why is that yeast is considered as biological leavening agent? Yes, Maricar? Very good. Isn't it in science you have discussed that yeast is an example of fungi? Great. So meaning, yeast is a living organism that is also being used in baking to expand or to double the volume of the baked products. And now, let us now proceed in measuring powdered food, specifically baking powder. What is now the first step? The first step is to remove the lumps in the powder by stirring. So you stir the baking powder in order for you to remove the lumps. After stirring, after removing the lumps, you can now proceed to step number 2. Step number 2 is to dip the measuring spoon into the powdered food or into the baking powder until overflowing. You can use a spatula or you can use the edge of the knife or the can opening of the baking powder to remove the excess. That's the proper way on how to measure baking powder accurately. Is that clear? Very good. Any volunteer inside the class who wants to demonstrate in front on how to measure baking powder accurately? Yes, Jonas. Very good, Jonas. Let us now proceed to shortening. What are the examples of shortening in baking? Yes, Justin. Very good. So we have solid fats as well as liquid fats. This one is an example of solid fats. Okay, margarine or butter. And this one is an example of liquid fat, oil. Is that clear? Very good. So what is now the function of shortening in baking? Shortening is the one that gives moisture as well as texture to the baked products. Let's start measuring the solid fat. So what is now the first step? The first step is to fill the measuring cup or fill the measuring spoon with the shortening or solid fat while pressing until it is full. So I will use measuring spoon. So I will fill the measuring spoon and press it until it is full. So after that, step number 2, level the fat or level the shortening with a straight knife or spatula. So remove the excess using a spatula. That is the proper way on how to measure solid fat, just like margarine. Is that clear? Very good. Will you please demonstrate in front the proper way on how to measure solid fats? Any volunteer? Yes, Jelly. Very good, Jelly. Let us now measure liquid fat, just like oil. What is the first step? The first step is to pour oil in the glass measuring cup. So this is now our measuring glass or transparent glass. The first thing you have to do is to place it in a flat surface and then pour the oil. For example, I will measure 1/4 cup. So pour the oil into the measuring glass or transparent glass. So you should measure it in a eye level, just like that. Is that clear? So reminder, do not lift the cup because it will give you inaccurate measurement. Is that clear? Very good. Will you please demonstrate in front the proper way on how to measure oil? Yes, Ramon. Very good, Ramon. Let us now proceed to the last one, which is milk. What do you think is the function of milk? Yes, Marithi. Very good. Milk is the one that gives moisture as well as flavor in our baked products. What do you think is the nutrients we can get from milk? Yes, Jelly. Very good. Milk is a rich source of calcium, wherein calcium is an essential nutrient for strong bones and teeth. Is that clear? Very good. There are 2 types of milk in baking. We have the liquid form milk and we have the powdered milk. Let's start measuring liquid form milk. So in measuring liquids, reminder, we are using transparent glass or measuring glass. In measuring dry ingredients, we are using graduated cup with fraction. Is that clear? Very good. The first step in measuring liquid form milk is pour into the glass measuring cup up to the measuring mark. And always remember that do not lift the cup. Okay, place the cup into a flat surface and then pour in the milk. Just like for example, I will be measuring 1/4 cup. So I will pour the milk up to the mark of 1/4 cup. So when measuring, it should be an eye level to get accurate measurement. And again, do not lift the cup because it will give you inaccurate measurement. Is that clear? Very good. Will you please go in front and demonstrate in front of the class on how to measure properly and accurately liquid milk? Yes, Ramil. Very good, Ramil. Very good demonstration, class. Again, what are the two major ingredients in baking? Yes, Laika. Very good. So we have the dry ingredients as well as liquid ingredients. Would you please, Rose Ann, give an example of dry ingredients? Great. So we have flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda. What about examples of liquid ingredients? Yes, Miguel. Very good. So we have oil, we have water, we have liquid milk. What about this one? What not to do in a cup full of flour to avoid excess measurement? Yes, Christian. Great. You need to avoid shaking. What about this one? It is used to level off the excess ingredients. What kind of tool is that? Yes, John. Very good. Spatula. But right, for example, if you don't have a spatula, what is the alternative tool? Yes, Gian. Very good. You can use the edge of the knife. What about this one? This is not to be done with the cup when measuring liquid ingredients. Yes, Nicole. Very good. Do not lift the measuring glass because it will give you an inaccurate measurement. What about this one? This is to be removed in brown sugar and to be rolled out using rolling pin. What is that? Yes, Isel. Very good. Lumps or the solid substance with no regular shape. What about the last question? Why it is important to measure liquid and dry ingredients accurately? Yes, Jared. Very good. It is important to measure dry and liquid ingredients in order for you to produce quality baked products. Is that clear? Very good. Is there any question regarding our discussion for today, grade 7? Very good. With that, let us now proceed to our next activity. Our next activity is entitled as Ustuya o Aliaustu. So I will be presenting video clip showing the proper way and improper way of measuring baking ingredients. What will you do is that you will identify if it is correct or incorrect. If it is correct, you will say ustuya. When it is incorrect, you will say aliaustu. Is that clear? Great. Are you ready? Let's start with the first video clip. Ustuya o aliaustu? Very good, aliaustu. Because shaking the cup while measuring dry ingredients will affect its measurement. What about the second video clip? Ustuya o aliaustu? Very good, aliaustu. Because if you lift the cup while you measure liquid ingredients, you will have inaccurate measurement. What about the third one? Ustuya o aliaustu? Ustuya. When measuring liquid ingredients, it should be in a eye level to have an accurate measurement. What about the number 4? Ustuya or aliaustu? Very good, ustuya. When removing excess ingredients, while measuring dry ingredients, you have to use a spatula. What about the fifth one? Ustuya or aliaustu? Very good, ustuya. When measuring flour, the first thing you have to do is to sift the flour to remove the lumpy part. Very good, grade 7. Let us now proceed to our next activity. Our next activity is entitled as Measuring Time, showcasing the proper way of measuring baking ingredients. What will you do is that choose one ingredient inside the box and showcase or present or demonstrate the proper way on how to measure it. You can showcase, you can present, or you can demonstrate your chosen ingredient by choosing one of the following options, depending on the availability of your resources as well as your skills you are good at. Option letter A. For students with smartphone and internet access, you may present a 2 to 3 minutes video demonstration, presenting the proper way on how to measure your chosen baking ingredient. You may post or you may share your output in our FB private group. For option letter B, for students with smartphone, internet access and data, as well as TikTok account, you may present your output with a 1-minute video. Just like option letter A, you may also post it to our FB private group. For option letter C, for students with smartphone without internet access, you may present your output by using Photo Story, wherein you will capture a series of pictures showing the step-by-step process of your chosen ingredient. Is that clear? Very good. For letter D, option letter D, for students without smartphone and internet access, you may choose from the following. Number 1, you may present your output using comic, wherein you will show the step-by-step process on how to measure properly and accurately your chosen ingredient. And for option number 2, for letter D, you may present your output using drawing, showing the step-by-step process on how to measure accurately your chosen ingredient. Is that clear? Very good. This will be the rubric on how I will grade your output. As you can see, it has 2 criteria. Number 1, steps. The highest score for criteria number 1 is 15. You will get 15 if all the steps were carried out correctly. And for criteria number 2, creativity and effort, you will also get 15 if you put full creativity and effort in this activity, for a total of 30 points. Take note that all the outputs in this activity entitled Measuring Time, showcasing the proper way of measuring baking ingredients, will be presented in our sharing time tomorrow. Is that clear? Very good. To wrap up our discussion for today, let's do the activity entitled 3, 2, 1, let's wrap up. So what you're going to do is that you will get your notebook and answer the following question. First, what are the 3 things you have learned in our discussion for today? Second, write 2 words that you really like in our discussion. And lastly, write 1 aspect of class discussion for today that you really enjoyed. I will give you 5 minutes to finish the activity. Is that clear? Very good. Timer starts now. Time's up. Any volunteer who wants to share their insights or answers? Yes, Rose Ann. Very good. Another? Yes, Jared. Perfect. Another one? Yes, Nicole. Great. From your answer, I see that all of you have learned something in our discussion for today. Again, baking is exact science. It is important that ingredients are measured accurately to get the right consistency and to get the right taste. Adding the wrong amount of dry ingredients just like sugar, baking powder, baking soda, or powdered milk, or adding a wrong amount of liquid ingredients just like milk as well as oil will greatly affect the quality of the baked products. That is why it is important to measure the ingredients accurately in order for you to produce quality baked products. Is that clear? Very good. And now, grade 7, are you ready for a short quiz today? Very good. Kindly get one answer sheet and pass it to your classmate. Our instruction, choose one local baking recipe or local kakanin recipe in your place, or it can be in your province. So what you are going to do is that for test 1, write the name of the local recipe and list down all the ingredients needed. After listing the ingredients, identify each ingredient if it is dry ingredient or liquid ingredient. For test 2, from your listed ingredients, choose one and write the steps on how to measure it accurately. And for test 3, if you were a baker, what do you think is the importance of measuring ingredients accurately? You are given 10 minutes to do that. Timer starts now. Time's up. Very good, grade 7. Most of you got a perfect score. Reminder that all of your output in your activity entitled Measuring Time, showcasing the proper way on how to measure baking ingredients, will be presented in our sharing time tomorrow. Is that clear? Very good. Have a nice day, grade 7. I hope you've learned something in our discussion for today.